Hello everyone, I'm back again with another video. This one, I'm going to be talking about the subdividableness of Bitcoin. One thing that I see on the internet is that people are saying, oh, Bitcoin will never have any problems with the amount of supply because it's infinitely subdividable or perfectly subdividable, so that you can just keep it dividing a Bitcoin into smaller and smaller parts. And so then there'll never be a problem of being like, oh, there's not enough Bitcoin to make small purchases anymore. This is not the case. There is a limit to how much you can subdivide Bitcoin. Obviously, you can subdivide it because, you might have 1.5 Bitcoin in your wallet. So, of course, a Bitcoin can be divided into smaller parts, but you can't do that infinitely. So, in order to really understand this, we have to understand how numbers are stored in computers and the different ways that numbers can be stored in computers. So, first of all, obviously, a Bitcoin cannot be infinitely subdividable because a computer does not have infinite space with which to store those tiny decimal places. So, in computer programming and in Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is a computer program, there is data types, and these data types are used to store values. And the value of the amount of Bitcoin in an address or in an output is stored as a 64-bit integer. So you may be asking me, what the hell is a 64-bit integer? Well, first of all, it's an integer, which means that it has no decimal places. It's just integers, whole numbers. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's no 0.5s, there's no 1.5s, there's no 1.062s. And you're probably thinking, whoa. I have 1.5 Bitcoin. How is that possible? I'll get to it later. And the other thing is that it's 64-bit, which basically means that the value of the number is stored as 64 binary bits, so like ones and zeros. So, for example, the number 6 in binary can be represented as 110. The Bitcoin 64-bit value has 64 of these ones or zeros in which to store the number. And I'm not going to get into binary number systems and converting binary and all that kind of stuff in this video. Maybe that'll be a separate video. Going back to what I said, say you have 1.5 Bitcoin in your wallet, and you're saying, hey, Kiefer, you're saying that there's no decimals in Bitcoin. And I'm saying, no, there isn't, but yes, there is, but really there kind of isn't. So let me explain. So the smallest possible unit of Bitcoin is 1 Satoshi. And so a Satoshi is to Bitcoin as a cent is to a dollar. Only instead of being 100 cents to a dollar, there's like 100 million Satoshis to a Bitcoin. So 1 Satoshi is 0.00000001 Bitcoin. That's 1 Satoshi. So internally, Bitcoin is only stored as Satoshis. So your 1.5 Bitcoin isn't actually stored internally as 1.5. It's stored as 150 million Satoshis. And once you get down to the Satoshi level of 1 Satoshi, that can't be divided any further. If you were to try to divide it, it would just go to 0.5 Satoshis. But because it's an integer, that 0.5 goes nowhere. That just gets discarded by the computer. And so we can see why there is an actual limit to how much you can divide Bitcoin. Now, it still isn't really much of a problem because Bitcoin isn't worth a ridiculous amount of money. It might start to become a problem if 1 Bitcoin became worth, say, 100 million US dollars, because then the smallest transaction you could make would be a 1 Satoshi transaction with a 1 Satoshi transaction fee, which would be a $2 transaction, $1 $1 transaction fee. Is that a real problem? Maybe not. Will it ever be a real problem? Who knows? I'm not one to predict the value of Bitcoin in the future. So say if you wanted to increase the subdividability of Bitcoin, what you would have to do is basically hard fork the protocol, or soft fork, I don't know, to basically multiply everybody's amount of Bitcoin by 10 or by 100 or by 1,000, and then change the way that the thing displays, move the decimal places over the corresponding number of ways, and so that everyone still has the same number of Bitcoin, it's just more zeros at the end. So why did our good friend Satoshi make this design choice? Well, it's a fairly common thing to do in any application that is dealing with money or numbers that need to be perfectly precise. Because in computers, there is a way to store decimal places. They're called floating point numbers. And basically, instead of just being a number that corresponds to a number, it has a sign, it has the exponent, and it has the sign of the exponent, and it has the number itself. So it's kind of like scientific notation, but in computer science. Floating point numbers can hold much larger ranges, especially a 64-bit floating point number. The problem with it is that this extra space and this extra flexibility comes at the cost of precision. And in applications where you're dealing with money, with Bitcoin, you never want to use floating point numbers because you can have rounding errors. And I'm not going to get deep into floating point rounding errors and stuff like that. That can be another video as well. But I'll just simplify it by saying, you know how when you'd want to divide 1 over 3, you get 0.33333 repeating. We have the same thing. We have the same problem with binary numbers and floating point numbers in computers, but with numbers like 0.1. Binary doesn't have any accurate way to represent 0.1 in the same way that decimal, base 10, doesn't have any accurate way to represent 1 over 3 as a decimal. So that's pretty much the video. Hopefully it was okay. Thank you for watching. Love you guys. Keep giving me ideas, please. I might be coming out with some more different kind of videos soon, maybe some podcasty stuff. We'll see. Give me feedback. Only positive feedback, though, because I don't want any negativity in my life. Just kidding. Say whatever you want. But, have a good one, guys. I'll see you later.